And it says we are live. Okay. Alrighty, let me just make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay, so yep, that looks right. So as before, the pattern, we have these 3 red here, these 3 red here, and these 3 red here. We're going to ignore this and this because they're part of the other pattern. So we go around the corners of the triangle, which are this, this, and this. So I start this side, jump over, take the opposite side, go over here, take the opposite side, and go up on the opposite side we started from. And then for the rest of it, we go across the face to the next group, across the face to the next group, then across, across, and across. And that's a complete run through the pattern. And we'll just keep doing that until somebody asks a question or says something, or I run out of length on the tama. So around the corners of the triangle. Fluff stuck on there. So across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center to make sure that the threads all go in place. And around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Get a little bit of that fluff out of there. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Pull that piece of fluff out. All right, tama's a little short, so I'm going to drop it a bit lower. And around the corners of the triangle, across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. And since this red is here and this red is here, we've gotten back to our starting point in the way the colors are laid out. And around the corners of the triangle. That also means we've done 3/4 of an inch of the braid. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And I think once this braid is done, I'm going to need to sand the face a little bit. There's a lot of dents from when I wasn't as careful and accidentally clocked it with the tama going across the face. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. And jiggle the center. Down the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. And jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Getting close to time to raise up the bag again. Oh, and we were back to our starting point on the pattern again. Jiggle the center. It looks like a couple of Tamani drops. And according to YouTube, nobody's actually watching me, but we know it lies. We're all just having fun watching in silence, which is perfectly fine. I probably won't have a Tuesday night braiding stream next week because I will be visiting my folks in Idaho. And I can bring stuff to stream with that, but I'm just not sure I'd have the time, so I'll just assume that I'm not going to. I might have some videos to upload, and I'll schedule them while I'm gone, because YouTube loves regularity. I missed a couple of streams last week, and the algorithm is punishing me with lower views. Jiggle the center. Probably the next one or the next starting point, I'll go ahead and raise the bag. Needs a little drop. And around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Finally got to use my, use my CPAP machine. I do seem to be a bit less tired, though it's still taking a little bit getting used to it. And we are back to our starting point, so let me move the bag up. Hey, we've got somebody watching. Just currently sliding the knot up so that the bag hangs higher and actually provides the weight it's supposed to. As you can see, this is like almost above the center line because of the weight of the Thomas pulling it down, which is why we need a counterweight. There you go. And let's just slide the bag up here. And there we go. Bag's hung again. Let me just recenter these positions so I'll know what I'm doing. Otherwise I get a bit confused. Okay. Almost there. There we go. Around the corners of the triangle. And across. Next. Across. next, across. Okay. I just lost my spot. Let me move these back. Okay. So there, there, and there. Okay, so across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Okay, that looks right. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Hey, shelling. Yeah, I think shelling. Okay. Yeah, it's a, I believe it's a 21 or 23 Tama. I'm sorry. Had my leg too far left. Pattern, and it is very kind of asymmetrical. It's kind of like built in 2s and 3s. The path the Tama takes looks like a bunch of triangles overlapping each other, not being even. So it did take me quite a bit to actually get the pattern down, but once I've got it, it's fairly easy to repeat. I don't need the mnemonic, but some of these Tamas are a little high up, so let me drop those down a little bit, and I'll do a quick walk through the pattern again if you hadn't seen the start of it. It doesn't help that I got lost on the last one, but I think I got it back where it was supposed to be. All right, so these three, and these 3 red ones are part of a triangle pattern. Okay. Yep. Learning how to unbraid is definitely a skill you need with a Marudai. So anyway, these three, and these 3 are triangles. So I take this side of the top set, cross over, and put it here. Take the opposite side, cross over, take the opposite side, and I go back up. So I now have my 3, 3, and 3 again. And then I do these black pairs with there are 2 of them that have an extra red on them. That's so that the pattern here has these crossover points. Otherwise, it would just be, if these pairs here didn't have the red, it would just be black here with red ridges. It's actually a semicircular braid. So that's a flat, that's a rounded, and that's a rounded. So I just did the 3 triangle portions. So I start here, and I take from this side, I cross over to this side of this pair here, and I take the opposite side of the one that was on the opposite side that crossed over. This jumps over the triangle portion. The opposite side crosses over. And since this one also needs to jump over, that's why I went this side, and this one goes over here. And I cross over to here, cross over to here, and cross over to here. And that's the entire pattern. I'm using DMC cotton floss. I'm using 2 strands per Tama, which is why I can take and split it like that. So basically I put it all the way out, kind of fold the end over, and tied the two ends to a tama, and the other end went through this ring here. Okay. All right, so we go around the corners of our triangle, and then we go across to the next group, across the face to the next group, and across, and across, and back to the start of our pattern. I also jiggle the center each iteration through the pattern so that all of the threads kind of join up into a nice consistent tension point. So around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center around the points of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. And yes, jiggle the center. And yes, I do a lot of slight shifting just to keep things proportional, so I know where everything is supposed to be on the pattern. I am getting close to the end. I don't have a whole lot left on the tama. And in case I didn't say it, welcome to the stream, and thank you for coming and watching. Okay, so around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. And yeah, my center weight bag is about half the total weight of my tama. So I have 100-gram tama. I think I've got 23 of them. So that's 2.3 kilograms. So I've got about 1.15 kilograms weight in the bag. And this is just what the bag looks like. I used a kitchen scale to get the weights proportional. Some patterns want a lighter, heavier counterweight relative to the tama. If it's a heavier counterweight, your tama your braid is going to be softer, not as tight. If it's a lighter counterweight, your tension from your tama will pull it tighter. And I'm just using pennies because they're cheap and they're about I think 1.5 grams each. But you can usually get enough in a bag to provide a sufficient counterweight without being too large. And pulled it the wrong way. There we go. Let me just recenter things again. Okay, and this is my starting color position. So as long as I get back to this point, I know going forward I've got the right pattern. So I've got the 3, the 3, and the 3. And on this one and on this one, I have the red on this side. So, and my the black portion of the pattern are between the ridges. I've got 2 and 2. And I got 3 sets of 2 here. And I have 2 sets of the 2 here. So this is essentially our flat, and these are the corner, the rounded sides. Yes, you do have to balance it. Welcome to the addiction. My wife calls me a Kumihimo pusher. So, Alrighty, but yeah, as you can see, if the bag is lighter, it lifts up like this, and they pull tighter and give you a nice tight braid. And if it's down lower, your the cords go together more like this, and it gives you a gentler pattern as opposed to where they're like really tight. I've been braiding about 23 or 24 years. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm ready to start again around the corners. Jiggle the center. Light looks a little dim to me, so I'm going to move the light I have a bit closer and see if I can't focus it on a bit better so you can see clearly what I'm doing. Give me just a second here. That should be a bit better. Alrighty, so around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. I'm in the SCA, which is the Society for Creative Anachronism, which is a Middle Ages recreationist society that focuses roughly from the fall of the Roman Empire to like 1601 in the European Renaissance. And a lot of people I know use these as like belts or cords to hang things off things. Some, depending on the braid, some flat ones are used as trim. So, and some are nice just to have as art. Okay. Just real quick, I'll show you some of the recent braids I've done. All of these have been done on my stream or my YouTube channel, so you can go back through and watch how they were done. So this is kind of an oval braid with ridges on each side. This was very quick to do. This was also done with DMC floss. This is a 32 Tama braid. It's only got 4 moves, and I just used different shades of DMC floss to give it the pattern. I tend to use the D-rings because they're nice, and that way if they do want to be used as a belt, they can. This is also a very fast-going braid, and it's a 24 Tama braid. Though you can move it up or down depending on how wide you want the middle. So I could do 32 and it would work great, or I could do 16, it would be much narrower. And this particular braid was done on a takadai. And I'm rather pleased with the way it turned out. Kind of looks like meteors shooting through a night sky. Okay. Gotta keep going since this is a braiding stream, but I'm happy to keep talking. I hope I've been answering your questions well enough to be useful to you. But the goal of these braiding streams are to get people who are interested in Kumihimo to get some more confidence and experience, maybe come up with new ideas on their own, and learn braids that are not necessarily easy to read the patterns for and understand how they go together. Yeah, that is correct. Takadai is high loom, Marudai is round, or stand as opposed to loom. But oh, absolutely not. I'm perfectly happy to answer questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll let you know I don't know the answer. Because even though I've been doing it a long time, I'm still just somebody having fun with this. And I'm learning as I go along. And as I learn new things, I try and pass them on so people don't have to go through the trial and error that I did sometimes, and pass on tips and tricks that people have told me. So, as they say, sharing is caring. But a YouTuber I follow who was unrelated to this art said that one of the hardest things to do to build up a YouTube channel is get your first 100 subscribers. And I've had this channel since like 2006. And at that point in time, which was like, last summer, I realized I had about 200 subscribers at that point. So I decided, hey, I bet this is something that people would like to watch and learn how to do. Something I can do regularly and consistently. So let's do that. So I'm only like 6 away from 500 now. If I ever get it to 1,000, I can actually get monetized and then hopefully use that money to pay for more materials and stuff like that, and be able to more regularly produce content and braid regularly. Because after a while, buying a lot of DMC floss gets really expensive. I also do braiding in silk as well, which is usually on the takadai. Give me just a second here. I'll drop these tama and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I don't currently have any silk takadai braids because I send them out very shortly after I get them done usually, because they're commissions or special projects for people. I have a hard time justifying doing silk for myself just because it's a lot of work. And okay. This is the silk I do. I use it on, I warp it up and usually have it about 12 strands of silk to simulate like one of these. It takes me about 20 hours of that to set up for a takadai braid. So let me quickly catch up on the chat. I got a little behind. I'm hoping to eventually make a bunch of Marudais. I'm considering doing them wood and 3D printing them. Yep, I order my silk from a site in Japan. I will try and add it to the description of this, or put it in one of the other ones if you're interested. It's about $25 US per cone and about $30 US in shipping. Though if you're in the UK, I'm not sure how much shipping would be, but I expect it would probably be similar, because I think we're roughly the same distance away from Japan, just in different directions around the globe. So, all right, let me get back to braiding. I started this braid last summer, so I'd like to actually get it done fairly soon, because it's been a while. Okay, around the corners of a triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, we're back to our pattern's starting configuration with the 2 extra reds right there. And it's time to move the bag up because I've added like about 3 inches of braid since we did it the last time. Yep, they do. I actually make the tama as well that I'm using. They're injection molded acrylic, and I use steel cores to provide the weight. And I have looked at shipping them to the UK, and I would probably have to ship them as just plain shells because it's like $300 to ship like 32 tama in just shipping alone. So that's very prohibitive. Alrighty. Bag is up. Just to give you an idea how much braid I've produced so far on this. There we go. Hey, Bane, nice to see you. And around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. It was pretty cold out here over the weekend. It's finally starting to warm up, but I think last night or the night before it got down to probably about rats. I'm not that great for, let me figure it out really quick. It was about 10 degrees Fahrenheit, so convert pad, temperature, Fahrenheit. Minus 12 was roughly what it was. Since I work in a machine shop where I deal with both English and metric, and most of my measuring instruments are in standard or SAE or English, however you want to refer it. It's nice to have a convert utility on my phone. I'm just outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Moved here about 23 years ago. Got married about 18. Been living here ever since. Gigolo center. And interestingly enough, while most of the U.S. Has police forces, I actually got elected as a constable, which is not like your typical day-to-day police officer. While I'm technically a law enforcement officer, I'm kind of like at the bottom of the scale, slightly above prison guard. But since most of the rest of the English-speaking world outside the U.S. Does have constables, I'm just kind of amused when I hear constables in other media and know that they're like standard municipal police officers as opposed to the weird position I hold. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit warmer than Boston, but not a whole lot. But Pennsylvania constables were set up in the mid 1600s. So we've been around for a while and have a weird legacy spot in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's governmental structure. Around the corners of the triangle. Sorry, just concentrating on braiding for a little bit. And after a while, my talking voice does need just a bit of a rest. Not quite Witchfinder General, but stuff we do, we tend to work for the magisterial district courts, which are rough equivalent to, in most other states, is the small claims court. The only weird thing relative to other states is all landlord-tenant cases have to originate at the MDJ court level, which means that I get to deal with things like evictions as well, which are not a fun part of the job, but they are necessary, and I got elected to do that, and I knew that was the job. So I try and do it as professionally and as politely as I can. Alrighty. We are looking like we are getting pretty close to the end. I don't have any leaders on these, so they'll reach the end when they reach the end. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. I usually tend to do my braiding streams Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, and I try and do at least one on the weekend. Because I know the times I normally do it during the week tend to be a bit late for those in the UK and really early for those on the Pacific Rim. So, and people can always watch the replays because I do keep them up. I don't take them down. And we are back to our starting configuration. Okay, well, I will try and do it again just to help you. So for this top set of 3 red here, I go over this set of 3 red, take the one from here, cross to this set of 3, and then take this one and back up here. So essentially I'm doing a triangular loop, only instead of like looping here, I start here and put the other one back there. Then of the 2, 2, 2, and the third one there, I start with the one just to the other side of where I picked up the first one for the triangles. And then I cut across here. Then I jump over the triangle to the next one over, then across, and jump the next corner of the triangle. And then I've jumped over all the corners I can, so it's across, across, and across for the remaining 3 pairs. And I'm back to my starting point again. So around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, 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 and across. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Yep, at least for the reds, it's 3 sides, and it's kind of an asymmetrical also triangle here. And it's kind of like a back and forth between the 2 sets. So essentially 2 interconnected braids together. Hey Alejandro, nice to see you on. Sorry I was not able to record the tying off that my wife did on the other one. When she was ready, I didn't have a camera and I just needed to get it out the door because it was done and I wanted it out before something happened to it. So I do apologize for that. Though I am planning to maybe at least on my local show setting up the next braid. I'm still waiting for confirmation on the coloration and that they're happy with the pattern. But I am trying to do Ian Runkle for the next braid. He's a Canadian YouTuber and lawyer. And around the corners of the triangle. Some of them wrapped around each other, so okay. Hope I didn't mess that up. Okay, so I went around the corners of the triangle, so across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. And we are back to the starting point of our pattern. By the way, when I say when we're back to the starting point of our pattern, we have done this much of the braid from this line back to, again, to that line. So it's about 3/4 of an inch, roughly, maybe close to an inch. So as you can see, this is a relatively fast moving braid, though I've got put a lot of floss length on it, so that's why it's taking me so long. That, and I've been working on other braids too, so. This is my first actual Maru-dai. I got it from the same people I bought the molds from for my tama, because I was looking for tama and they had some, so I was buying from them a couple of times, and we got to talking that they were no longer interested in doing it because they were getting older, and I bought the molds off them because I was going to keep making them and make them available to people. I originally learned when a friend of mine at a SCA event said, "Hey, you'll find this interesting," and handed me a piece of cardboard cut out from the side of a 12-pack of soda with notches cut into it and said, "Here, let me show you how to do this." And I've pretty much been hooked ever since then. Getting close to the point, I need to move the bag up again. So, shelling, are you getting a little better at predicting where they're going to be set down? And we are back to our starting configuration. This is as good a time as any to raise the bag. Oops, looks like the chat locked up for me for a bit. It's been less than successful, Carolyn. I was finally able to get it to adhere to the bed to the point that when it cooled down, it actually pulled up the magnetic or the steel plate that's held up down by a magnet, but it failed well before it got to the end. So I'm trying it again. I've got a camera set up. In about an hour or so, it's going to get to the point where it gets to the infill, which is usually where I start having problems. So I've got the video camera set up out there for a regular recording, and I'll see how it works out. But I'm still dealing with issues on it that I'm not happy with. Yeah, they're not in the pattern that instructions I came with, but I decided, since I saw them in a picture of a finished braid, I'd figured out how to add them, and I think I came up with a reasonable way to do it. So, all right. Oops. Let's go ahead and drop some of these tongue a bit lower so they're not quite so short. Whoops. I am getting to the point where they want to drop further than I want to let them go because there's not enough floss to provide friction against itself. So some of these are going to get a bit longer than I want, and they'll unroll a little bit more than I planned as they move around. But if they drop too low, I can always rewind them up a bit. Yeah, looks like we got 4 people on so far tonight. That's nice. I think my record's either 6 or 7. So we're doing pretty good on this stream. Looks like I had one drop and I didn't notice it. So yeah, I am getting really close to the end. If I go more than an hour tonight, I might get it. If I only go an hour, I probably won't. There we go. Around the corners. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Part of the reason this pattern gets a little uneven on the top is because the different pairs actually move in different directions around the face. Some go clockwise, some go anti-clockwise as I'm doing them, so that some of them tend to get closer together and others further apart. That's part of the reason I have to keep resetting them. Otherwise, it gets very confusing as they start overlapping each other in the wrong ways. I suppose it's wrong only and it's not the way I want the pattern to go. I've also got a CNC wood router that I'm probably going to go ahead and make some Maru-dais using the same basic patterns. They'll be much easier because wood tends not to like shift or deposit incorrectly because it's already did that when the tree was growing. I've got a new rotary planer that will let me prep the wood a lot easier than I was able to before. It's also going to help me on takadai production as well. Speaking of which, I'm trying to get at least 5 or 6 made by summer. I'm thinking of doing a takadai braiding course at a large SCA event or Society for Creative Anachronism, Society for Creative Anachronism event called Penzic that's held in Western Pennsylvania every year in late July, early August. Across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. And we're back to our starting configuration again. Let me just quickly check. Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah, I'm hoping to get the next one started in a couple of weeks. I just need to get the colors confirmed and the fact that they're happy with the pattern. But we'll see how that goes. I have a couple of backup options. I just need to get those in place as well. It'll help when the first person receives his, which it arrived at his P.O. box, but he's been very busy live streaming trials. So I don't know when he's had a chance to get it and show it to people on stream. But once I've done that and people see that I actually can produce them, I'm likely to get more people to take me up on the offers for custom braids. My grift in the parlance is that I stream my making them. Oh, the retail value on the last takadai braid I did was $2,100 for the finished product. And it took about 68 hours total time to make it. Though technically I'm not including the amount of time to clean up the tama from the last braid to get ready for the next one. I think that'll be a couple hours for that as well. Cross, next, cross, next, cross, cross, and across. Jiggle center around the corners of the triangle and across, next, cross, next, cross, across, and across. The next custom takadai braid I'm planning is going to be a 1-1 twill instead of a 2-2 twill. I'll see if I can't get a better resolution out of that than I was able to get with the 2-2 twill. Part of the design I was requested to do for that one requires a more uniform line pattern. And it can't be quite as jagged for it to look nice. Okay, yeah, I've been attending Penzic since 1998. I usually camp with or near the Great Dark Horde. And I've been on Penzic staff for about a decade now, so I don't tend to get around in the common portions of Penzic much during the daytime as I'm working. But I hope to have the class available. Let me just catch up on chat for sure. Okay. The braid I did was in silk, and it was 63 inches. And it about 1.25 inches wide. And I'd say it was probably about 2,000 meters in silk that I put into it. Hey, we're up to 5 viewers. That's doing really good for one of my live streams. So around the corners of the triangle and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Around the corners of the triangle and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across, and jiggle the center, and we are back to our starting configuration. I think I can go one more iteration through to finish before I need to raise the bag up. And I was trying for 6 feet, but I ran a little short because one of the white strands must have gotten shifted to where it was uneven when I put it on the takadai. So one end, since I did a flat start where they loop over the D-ring, one end was short and one end was long. So I lost probably about 8 inches doing that. And I didn't find out until I was near the end when I couldn't do anything about it. If I had gotten to 6 feet, it probably would have been about 2,300 in value. I was getting pretty fast near the end there. As I get faster, the time goes down, but as I get more skilled, the rate goes up. Because there's a lot of freaking work in those. Jiggle the center. One of the reasons I'm doing these as donations is because most people either can't or aren't willing to afford the amount of work that goes into them. It's also one of the reasons why I tell people I will show them how to make a braid, but I really, most of the time, won't actually make a braid for them. If it's a very fast-going braid like this one, this would probably be, for the amount of time I put in it, maybe about $150 to $200 because it was a very fast braid. Okay. And around the corners of the triangle and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, and we are back to our starting configuration, so it's time to raise the knot. Well, since we actually have a pretty good audience here, it's about the time I would normally stop, which is about an hour. But if you want, I can keep on going. Yeah, I didn't actually include material costs. And I am getting some value out of it being advertised as for their audience being aware of it. So, yeah. Okay. Drop some of these tama a bit lower. If I keep going about another 20 minutes or so, I might actually be done with this braid. I'll keep going. Oh, yes. There is a bit of a trick. I can tell, I'm not sure if it shows up on the camera. I can tell by looking if all the black ones are on the top, crossing over each other, then I know I finished at the end of the pattern. If it's mostly red that are on the top, I know that I stopped at the midway point. And I try and only stop at those 2 points so I can pick up from where I was. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Let's move these down a little bit, get that more of triangle for the red, rather than a very narrow arrow point. I want more equilateral triangle, not isosceles. Yep, some of these are almost done. Okay, so around the corners of the triangle. Yeah, that's a useful skill to pick up on a Marudai, is to know what your braid pattern looks like and how it goes through its iteration, and be able to tell by looking at which is the topmost cross string to see where you stopped and you can pick up again. I found, unfortunately, that one of the better ways to get that knowledge of the braid structure is to screw up and go back unbraiding as you go along to figure out where you made the mistake and then starting back up again. That gives you a pretty good understanding of braid structure fairly quickly. But you've got to be willing to do the unbraiding when you realize you've made a mistake. I can actually pick up most braids these days, since I've done so many, and not make a lot of mistakes when I start out. But when I was starting, I definitely had to do that. And one of the reasons I'm actually going so fast on this particular braid is I've done it enough that I've got essentially a kinesthetic memory of how I need to move things. And I don't have to think about it as much as I did when I first started doing this braid. And we're back to the starting point again. Okay, drop a few more tama. But I'd say about over half the reds are essentially at the end of their drop down. This can still go a little bit more down. I just have to undo the lark's head knot. There we go. But that is all I have left on this. Another thing I can tell is, like for this triangle here, as it goes along, the lowest goes down here and the upper goes up here. So I can tell which is ready to go and which one was the most recent one. Or sorry, this one was the most recent one. This is the next one. So the most recent one is higher up. I forgot the way it was going. And the oldest one is the lowest. So you can tell, like, the crossover ones are the ones you just moved. The ones that look the lowest are the ones that are going to be ready to move. Got a little confused there. Apologize for that. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the triangle. Okay, there we go. I have so much red touching each other from the other side that it took me a second to figure where I was. Across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center around the corners of the triangle and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. And drop some of these, Tama, before I jiggle the center. There we go. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Since I don't think I did it last time, jiggle the center. And around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. And we're back to our starting configuration again. Let's undo that Tama there. That one as well. And that one too. Oops, sorry, let me catch up with chat. Completely missed some of that. Sorry, just catching up on chat here real quick. Yeah, one of the things I do enjoy about braiding on the Maru-dai is I can usually watch TV or listen to the radio or listen to an audiobook while I do it. And it's very relaxing. However, since I'm doing streaming, I really can't do that, but the chat keeps me occupied. So it doesn't get boring to me. And around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. center, around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, back to the starting configuration. Cute Bane. Sorry, I'm not trying to do ASMR, but okay. Around the corners of the triangle. I'm still trying to figure out how to do streams in my shop without having too much noise from either the heater or the compressor or the router running. I think that would be fun too. Looks like I've got some tama to drop. I think I'll use some of the black to finish off the braid. I think I've got the needles out somewhere where I can finish it off. Well, the mic I got is supposed to be pretty good at not picking up noises out of a certain range from the mic, but I'm not sure how well it works. I do listen to some of the older streams to see how the sound quality is, so I'm not too upset with it. Okay, so around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. At the next starting configuration, I will move the bag back up. Jiggle the center. Let's get these a little more even. Okay. Around the corners of the triangle. Across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. We're back at the starting configuration. Now let me try a different mode. Let's see. Find a switch on the back here. Hopefully that might be a little better. If it's not, I can switch it back or try a different mode. Alrighty. Yeah, Bane, the braid got to Nick Tuesday at his P.O. box, but because he's been doing a trial stream, I don't know when he's actually going to get to his box and get it. And when I've been trying to ask him in chat, he just doesn't either see it or doesn't feel like responding. Whichever it is fine. But I want to know so that I can do a super chat so he'll show it off on stream. Let me know if he likes it or not. So do you like it better or not, Bane? This is mode 4 on the dial. We were doing mode 3. And this is mode 1 on the dial. I'll do that for just a little bit, give you a chance to decide which one you like better. And then I'll try mode 2, and then you'll have heard all of the modes. This one is the best? Okay, I'll keep with this one. I'll move to 2 for just a second, then I'll switch back. So this is mode 2. We'll do that for a minute or so. And then if it's not clearly better than the other ones, I'll switch back to that mode 1. Well, since I don't see anybody saying that mode 1 is clearly better, or mode 2 is clearly better, I will switch back to mode 1 as soon as I'm done with this iteration. And we are back on mode 1, so no arguing, or I will turn this stream around. Shouldn't be too much more time. Most of the red's already played out. Just have to see when it gets to the point where it's too difficult to pick them up. Around the corners of the triangle. Across. Next. Across. Next. Across. Across. And across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across. Next. Across. Next. Across. Across. And across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across. Next. Across. Next. Across. Across. And across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across. Next. Across. Next. Across. Across. and across. Jiggle the center, around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Hey, Kathleen, nice to see you on. Okay, so mode 1 is the best mode. Okay, around the corners of the triangle. Kathleen, we are almost done with this braid. I'm done the final drop on some of the tama. It's just a matter when they get up to the top. Around the corners of the triangle. This one can drop a bit more. And yes, I'm having to remember exactly where I am so that I don't mess this up. There we go. And yep. There we go. Across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Let's drop some of these tama a bit more, so it'll be clear when it actually reaches the end. Because I'll have some high ones and some ones that can't drop any, or ones that are a fair amount down. Whoops, this one needs a re-roll. It's dropped too low. Okay. Okay. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. I can actually fill it as some of the tamas drop because they don't have enough friction from the threads anymore to hold them in place. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. And got to raise the knot because I am close enough to hanging down. Yeah, these were before I started using leaders regularly. I've only just recently adopted that. I'm sorry to hear that you're dealing with depression. Hopefully things will improve. I know there's not a lot you can do about it directly in a lot of cases. So this is not a, hey, you just need to cheer up, because that doesn't work with depression. Okay, so, all right, around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, around the corners of the triangle. Probably only one or two more iterations. Across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Feels a little weird as the threads are changing length as I'm passing them over. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Oops. Bag fell off. I didn't have it secure enough on the knot. All right, that should be secure enough. Okay, around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. I got maybe an inch left. Across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corners of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Let's see. Yeah, as they get higher up, you pick them up and there's less of a movement as the tama kind of oscillates at the end of the string. Okay. My sympathies, Kathleen. Round the corner. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center. Around the corner of the triangle. And across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. Jiggle the center, around the corners of the triangle, and across, next, across, next, across, across, and across. And we are at our starting configuration, and this one just barely fits under there. So I'm going to stop this here. Let's take the bag off. Okay. Got the scissors there. Grabbing a needle. Want one with a relatively big head because this is, not head, because this is DMC floss. Okay. Hey, Lou Fiddler, welcome to the stream. You're catching me just as I'm ending the braid. Nope, not going to tie a big overhand knot. All right, let's see which one is the longest thread left on one of these tama. All right, I'm guessing it's this one here. So cutting at the base of the Maru-dai mirror. Just untying it here. These aren't the sharpest of scissors, unfortunately, but they'll do. Yeah, it's not going to want to slide off, so. All right. Let's see if I can feed it through. Actually, that'll probably work better if I do it that way. There we go. Alrighty. This wasn't as long as I'd hoped it would be, but it'll work. Tie the end. Alrighty. What I'm going to do is just run it through here. So I got a holding point. Now I'm going to cut all of the tama off at the same height on the mirror. I'm just going to be careful to do essentially alternating sides. I'm sorry about bumping the camera. Let's get that back centered again. All right. I'll use a better set of scissors to cut the ends flush once it's tied off. Oops. And I'll get that one later. Okay. Oops. Oh well. Easy enough to resolve. Get that out of the way. There we go. And realize I am not the best at this, but I've gotten it through there. So I'm just going to wrap around a couple of times and stab through again. And there we go. I might do a different one a little bit higher up, but this will hold it for now. I'll keep it from unraveling. Get a nice cut, close cut there. And then I'll just kind of comb this out and probably have it, the fringe about this long. Let me cut that other end off too. Probably should have had a sharper set of scissors up here. But at least for the moment, this is definitely excess. And there we go. So that's essentially how my wife and I finish these braids. Okay, so alrighty. A little bit of unevenness there from the knot, but a little bit of manipulation. Maybe wash it once, and it should all settle out. All right, let's see. Do I have the tape measure handy? Not sure where I put it. All right, but anyway, so this is about 10 inches. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. So about just under 9 feet. So thank you everybody for joining me on the stream. Anybody have any questions before I head out? Thank you very much, Lou. I'm glad you were able to join on. Please feel free to watch any of my back catalog. And thank you very much. And I've not quite ready to set up the takadai again for my next one. And to To be honest, the area outside the camera is a little bit dirty, so I might need to. Thank you, Mark. You're very welcome. Um, I've been thinking of doing a locals exclusive stream of the setup, just so that not that many people see the horrible mess I've made up here. And I don't have another Maru-dai braid I'm ready to set up, but I do have another one I'm going to be braiding on. So I'll probably be braiding that one next time, and I might do some of the setup stuff. But yeah, I do plan eventually streaming regular setup. Problem is it's a shared room with my wife, and I don't want her to be embarrassed because she is a professional custodian and she likes things being kept clean. So anyway, thanks again, everybody, for joining, and I will call it a night. Stay safe, everybody, and happy braiding.